Christmas is approaching and Britain wants a happy ending to a missing person story.
He heard her phone ringing in her jacket pocket, and I suspect that was probably the start of his nightmare.
Joanna Yeates would know her killer. His defence will be that her death was an accident.
He put a hand around her throat and he squeezed the life out of her.
As a nation mourned on Christmas Day, it was her family who were grief-struck.
I do miss her.
December 17th, 2010. Office Christmas party time. Joanna Yeates kisses her boyfriend Greg Reardon goodbye as he heads to Sheffield to visit his family. She then heads to a pub in Bristol.
When she finished work, she joined workmates and she went out for a drink.
She meets up with friends from her office where she works as a landscape architect. Joanna is very popular.
She's really bubbly, just had this incredible warmth about her as well.
Jo moved from Hampshire for her job, but regularly returns. She's part of a close and loving family.
Probably lots of mums say this, but she's a friend, someone I enjoyed time with, someone who inspired me to do perhaps more unusual things than other people do or that I would have done.
Jo is like a breath of fresh air, really. Generally happy, buoyant, very, very positive.
Joanna and Greg, both in the city to progress their careers, have recently moved to a basement flat in the pleasant suburb of Clifton. Living upstairs, their landlord is Chris Jeffries. A retired English teacher, never married, he lives alone. He has no TV, preferring to spend the time with his books. He's also heavily involved in the day-to-day running of the building and his flats.
I had come to a point where one of the flats that I let out for retirement income became vacant. The very first day that it was advertised, two of the prospective tenants turned out to be Jo Yeates and Greg Reardon. I liked them very much. There was nothing at all about them which was unattractive. I liked both of them. They were young, enthusiastic, anxious to set up home together for the first time, and I was very pleased to be able to give them the opportunity to do exactly that in what they obviously thought was an ideal place for them.
I think both of them were enjoying building a house together. Now acquiring the bits and pieces.
What young couples do.
Yeah. And they're very much a partnership. They're very much together. They're very happy together.
The flat in Canning Road that they'd chosen to share was already home to Vincent Tabak, a young Dutchman also working his way up a career ladder. He left Holland for Britain after studying in Eindhoven. His expertise is in the field of people flow in public spaces. It's a specialised skill, much in demand in Britain. He grew up in a rural area of southern Holland.
Uden is a very small town in the south of the Netherlands. Very, very normal, very quiet, typical southern town where people celebrate carnival in February, very traditional. He was this normal kid, really. He didn't have a lot of friends. We know this, that he played alone a lot of the times.
Neighbours remember the youngest of four, who has two sisters and a brother, and they recall a pleasant, quiet, private boy.
Just an ordinary guy, as 100 other guys can be. A little bit introvert, to himself. I would say introvert, yes.
Vincent becomes a student in Eindhoven in his late teens. He shines as a very good student, noted for his methodical, painstaking approach to problem solving. It's not easy to excel at this university, but he does.
Eindhoven is officially the smartest region in the world, and Vincent Tabak was one of the smart people.
Vincent Tabak's work at university is not quite what it seems. Although he spends time plotting the movement of large groups, he spends little time with people. Instead, his is a virtual world lived largely in front of a computer screen.
You know, it's maybe a little bit of a geeky university. Very intelligent computer boys who sit behind their screens designing stuff. And maybe that was what he was doing for about 7 or 8 years while getting his PhD, is just being engrossed in his computer designing and, you know, being very clever about it.
Clever enough to be awarded his PhD.
We know Vincent Tabak is a highly intelligent individual, that he's systematic in his approach to life.
Like so many, he's never far from the web.
Professionally, for work, he was a habitual user of the internet, as are many professional people. He used the internet to keep in contact with his girlfriend regularly.
Tabak exudes different personas to different people. 1 minute awkward and preferring his computer screen for company, the next very sociable with those around him.
He had always struck me, and I think struck everybody else in the building, as a thoroughly civilized and courteous person. He was a tenant who was in many ways ideal.
It seems to be that different people describe him in quite different ways. So his family at home seemed to describe him as being quite shy, steady, calm, whereas his work colleagues in this country seem to describe him as being more outgoing, and these things are quite inconsistent.
As Joanna heads towards the Ram pub, Vincent Tabak kisses his girlfriend goodbye.
Vincent Tabak had also been at work. His partner, Tanya, had gone out to an office function that had taken her out of Bristol. And the plan was that he was going to pick her up in the early hours of the Saturday morning.